dude, there's a huge alien invasion coming. I've been talking about it for years. This kind of puts it into a whole new light when you see, well, they're not just coming to rule and conquer the earth for Lucifer, so he can rule the world via one world government as the Antichrist. They're also coming to feast on mankind, to use us as their bait and food, to put us in their meat processing plants. And that's one of the things Peggy Kane kept hearing over and over again in reverse speaking, was how in references to the people being hanged, and what they do is they hang people up on these hangers. And according to Mayan temples, if you look at the temple carvings in the Mayan Indian culture, alien reptoid beings are carved all in there's pyramids there. There are 7 sets of pyramid complexes around the world. I don't know if you're as view challenged as I am, but when you think of pyramids, you think of the ones in Egypt, the Giza pyramid in Egypt. There are 7 huge complexes around the world then they found one in Japan under the water by Okinawa. They found one in China. They found them in Mexico. They also found one with the Mayans. And so there's 7 dispersed throughout the world, and Egypt being one of them, not the only one. And with all these other ones, because I've never even heard of it mentioned with the ones in Egypt, they have found carvings on these pyramid walls showing reptoids eating humans. They would show a reptoid sitting down eating a human leg, eating an arm, eating a baby. And so in ancient and our archaeological evidence, in all of these different cultures and various places around the world, all showing reptilians eating humans. And if you look at the history, we have civilizations. There was one in Mexico where 250,000 people, they found 250,000 skulls in the temple. And one of these things that these reptilian warlords, these gods, would do on Earth was force people to sacrifice their firstborns, because they were the freshest meat, and they would eat them. And so temple sacrifice was huge, because it appeased the reptilians who fed off of humans. Another thing that was huge was temple orgies, so that babies were being born. The more babies, the more food for the reptilians. And so, it really tears the lid off of illusions when you get down to the meat and potatoes of what our past really is. The Indians having legends of being taken and living under the earth for centuries because of a mammoth flood that was coming on Earth, and so these aliens taking them down under the earth to live, and so they lived there for centuries, and they came back on Earth, and so that correlates with the flood that God used to destroy the whole world. Apparently, some of them going underneath the earth and surviving for centuries during that time. We know the flood only lasted for 40 days, but they were kept down there in captivity for centuries by these aliens, and they described them as lizard men or ant people. And so they're ant people. The descriptions of the ant people mimic what we call the Greys today, and their lizard men being just the reptoids. And so, I don't know, other than trying to get motion light detectors because they hate lights. Around your properties at night, get motion light detectors. If you can get your hands on radar equipment, which I don't know how civilians are supposed to do that, jamming their UFOs with radar equipment, making them crash will keep them away. And so, one of the things that you'll also find, and you can read this book called The Warning by Art Greenfield. And he talks about a lot of what I've mentioned. The thing they go off on, though, and where they just totally lose base, is the fact that all religions were created by the reptilians and aliens, and there has been a lot of manipulation, yes. I mean, Christianity has Paul, who was one of them, who manipulated, infiltrated Christianity, who most of the church today doesn't even teach what Yahushua and the 12 apostles taught, because Paul, one of their main pawns, prodigies, was used to infiltrate and manipulate Christianity. And so over the years you have all these different religions and these religious wars that have always played into the hands of these aliens, because massive death counts stocks their freezers, their human meat freezers. And so they like massive death. They like massive wars. We talk about World War II with Adolf Hitler, and he had these UFO pods called, we called them Foo Fighters, because our military didn't know what else to call them. They were UFOs. But Hitler had his own UFOs. And in exchange, and because these aliens they don't give you anything for free. Allegedly, Hitler had exchanged humans, abductions, body parts, whatever, for this technology on UFOs, an agreement that he would create this war and the aliens could scoop up all the dead people. And that's why you'll never find bodies coming home during a wartime, because they'll say they're all just buried in a massive grave. When they've just left them on the field, they supposedly left 25 million Russians, or is it 2.5? I don't know. I remember it was 25 million. I'm thinking, I don't even think they have 25 million Russians. About 25 million Russians and about 10 million Germans alone on the battlefields, just to freeze in the cold of winter. And they were never buried. They were just picked up by the aliens, meat harvest for the aliens. Something to do with all of these Jews, that the Jewish Holocaust was to feed the aliens with the Jewish bodies. Plagues, the Black Plague, the Death Plagues of 1918, 40 million people killed, and some of these other huge plagues that have claimed a third of mankind, and just millions and millions. And these are meat harvests for the aliens. If they can't start a war, they'll create a plague. And I've always said that these plagues are alien, because I've seen it in the Bible codes. AIDS and some of these, this avian flu, and every time I've looked in the codes, these have been plagues started by the aliens. And who works closely in conjunction with the aliens today on Earth? The CIA and the M16. They work closely with the aliens. They are intelligence branches of Lucifer. And so they do the human legwork on Earth to fulfill the alien agenda. And you get involved with some of these UFO groups who know what's going on. The awareness that we're being used and targeted as food is reaching new levels. They always just kind of get stupid about it. They get, there's a galactic federation, and we're going to join this galactic federation. This galactic federation of alien worlds is going to help us. And I have a picture of the galactic federation at SherryTalkRadio.com. And the head of this Michael is Haton. It's a tall gray alien. Oh, come on, folks. Do they really think a tall gray alien is going to protect us from the small gray aliens? They won't believe in God, because they think since some of the parts have been manipulated, that everything is false, and that's why they can't get a balanced grip on what's going on with all these abductions and why they're here and where they're coming from. I asked the Lord about it. He goes, of course, all the universe is hostile. Of course it's hostile. Satan is the prince and power of the air. And so they've had thousands and thousands of years to inhabit these planets and these stars and make their homes in various places throughout the universe. And it's a very hostile place, because Satan's kingdom is hostile. And a lot of these beings that they've created, such as the small grays, were never even created by the Lord's hand himself.